Welcome to this explainer. Look, before we get into anything else, I need you to just stop whatever you're doing right now and listen to me very carefully for a second. You are not physically tired right now. You are just completely, utterly distracted.
Right now, you probably think you need another cup of coffee, or maybe you're sitting there convinced you need a nap to get through the afternoon. You're constantly blaming your lack of progress and that daily heavy brain fog you feel on physical exhaustion. But here is the brutal, harsh reality. You aren't actually tired at all. Your brain is just entirely exhausted from processing thousands of useless, microscopic inputs every single hour of the day. You are essentially demanding your brain to function like a high-end supercomputer, but at the exact same time, you're feeding it a constant low-grade diet of endless notifications, pings, and endless scrolling.
So you might blame physical fatigue, but what we're really looking at here is brain exhaustion. What you actually lack isn't the physical energy to get through your workday. What you lack is deep, unbroken focus. The modern worker has completely mistaken the mental wear and tear of juggling a dozen different browser tabs for genuine physical exertion. We feel so totally drained by 5 p.m., not because we've actually been doing hard, meaningful work, but because our attention has just been completely fractured all day long.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. The cognitive switching penalty.
It's known as the cognitive switching penalty. And here's how it works. Every single time you switch your attention away from your primary important work to look at a text message or an email or your social media feed, your brain actually has to burn massive amounts of glucose just to reorient itself. Think of it like a massive engine having to completely power down and then start all over again. You're not physically tired, your brain has simply been drained of its energy reserves from constantly shifting gears between hundreds of trivial distractions. Modern technology is, frankly, weaponized to fracture our attention, and corporate cultures totally support this through what the author Cal Newport calls the culture of connectivity. We're talking about open offices and instant messaging apps that operate on this principle of least resistance. Basically, it's just easier to ping a coworker than it is to actually plan out your day. And the result of all this, you feel incredibly busy all day long, you're stressed, you're exhausted, yet you're accomplishing absolutely nothing of real value.
20 minutes. I really want you to let that number sink in. Because 20 minutes is exactly what checking a single, seemingly harmless 5-second text message utterly destroys. It completely shatters your attention, forcing your cognitive engines to fully power down and then restart from scratch. Every single time your phone lights up, you aren't just losing 5 seconds of your life. You are literally nuking 20 solid minutes of deep focus.
Which brings us to Section 2. Attention as the ultimate currency. Concentrate every minute like a Roman on doing what is right in front of you. Now, that is not some modern-day Silicon Valley productivity hack. That's Marcus Aurelius channeling the Stoics. The Stoics viewed attention as the absolute ultimate currency, something far, far more valuable than money or time or status. The core tenet here is simple, but it's honestly a little terrifying. If you cannot control your focus, you simply cannot control your life. Your reality is literally constructed by what your brain chooses to pay attention to. So a workday driven by shallow, fragmented inputs, it's going to leave you entirely drained and upset, even if those quick little distractions seem fun in the moment.
And this ancient philosophy has been leveraged by some of the absolute greatest minds in recent history. Take Carl Jung, for example, and his stone tower in Bollingen. Back in 1922, this renowned Swiss psychiatrist actually bought a plot of land on the banks of Lake Zurich specifically to build a retreat. He needed to completely hide away from the hectic chaos of the city. He basically needed a fortress so he could perform the intense, focused work that eventually shaped 20th century analytical psychology. Jung didn't just, casually try to focus a little harder. He built a literal stone castle to guard his attention.
Today, we actually have a name for what Jung was doing locked away in that stone tower. Author Cal Newport defines this concept as deep work. These are professional activities performed in a state of completely distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their absolute limit. Now, in our current era, what economists are calling the Great Restructuring, machines are getting smarter and smarter, while ordinary workers are kind of falling behind. In this new economy, the superpower of deep work has become incredibly rare, and because it's rare, it is incredibly valuable. If you want to be a highly skilled worker, or honestly a superstar in whatever your field is, you absolutely must be able to master hard things quickly.
Let's look at Section 3, the rules of deep work.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how Cal Newport outlines several different philosophies to help us work deeply. You could go entirely monastic, kind of like a sci-fi writer abandoning email and the internet altogether. Or you could go bimodal, like Carl Jung retreating to his stone tower for chunks of the year. Maybe you're more rhythmic, like the comedian Jerry Seinfeld writing a joke every single day to form an unbroken chain. Or even journalistic, where you just drop into intense focus anytime you have 20 free minutes. But out of all of these, embracing the boredom is absolutely critical. You have to stop taking breaks from distraction, and instead, you need to start taking breaks from focus. Think about it. If you constantly reach for your phone the very second you feel a tiny hint of boredom, your brain literally loses its ability to filter out your relevancy. You become a mental wreck. You actually need to train your brain to tolerate being bored again.
All right, Section 4, the Monk Block Protocol.
This is the tactical, step-by-step solution to instantly reclaim your mental energy today. Step 1 is the 90-minute exile. You are going to pick the single most important task of your entire day. And for exactly 90 minutes, your phone must be physically located in a completely different room. I need you hearing me clearly on this. Putting your phone on Do Not Disturb and leaving it next to your keyboard is absolutely not enough. The mere physical presence of the smartphone in your peripheral vision actually drains your cognitive capacity. Step 2 is the single tab rule. You are going to close every single browser tab on your computer except the exact specific one you need to complete your task. No email, no messaging, nothing else.
And then we arrive at Step 3, which is going to be the ultimate test of your personal discipline, the boredom clause. Listen, if you hit a creative block, or if the work suddenly gets really hard, or if you simply start losing focus during those 90 minutes, you are absolutely not allowed to check your phone or open a new website. You have a very strict binary choice here. You either do the work or you sit there and stare at the wall. That's it. You either do the work or you do absolutely nothing. What you are doing here is actively retraining your brain to understand that distraction is no longer an escape hatch.
So why on earth would you put yourself through this kind of strict, agonizing regimen? Because 8 hours of typical, distracted office work equals just 90 minutes of pure focus. That is a massive return on investment. When you completely eliminate task switching and you remove that cognitive switching penalty we talked about, your brain enters what the psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi calls a flow state. You are going to experience a massive immediate return of energy. You will literally accomplish in 90 minutes of pure, unbroken focus what normally takes you 8 grueling hours of fractured, distracted, incredibly shallow work.
Moving to Section 5, Realistic Timeline for Change. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what you should expect, because the journey you are about to embark on, going through digital withdrawal, will definitely not be easy. Days 1 through 3 are going to feature some agonizing discomfort. During the first 20 minutes of your monk block, you're going to feel real, genuine anxiety. Your hand will literally instinctively reach for a phone that just isn't there anymore. You just have to sit with that discomfort. But if you can push through to days 4 through 10, the magic starts to happen. The urge to check your notifications will drastically fade away. You'll find yourself dropping into that highly productive flow state much faster, and it's going to feel a lot easier. And by day 21, everything changes. The monk block will transform into the absolute most satisfying part of your entire day. You will begin to aggressively guard your 90 minutes of deep focus simply because you finally remember what it feels like to have a clear, sharp, high-performing mind.
Which brings us to the climax here, Section 6, the ultimate binary choice.
I really want you to internalize this truth. True power in the modern world is the rare ability to sit quietly and do one single thing for 2 hours. We live in an attention economy that is built entirely on lowbrow digital entertainment and constant, endless pings. Silence and focus, those are your ultimate competitive advantages right now. Reclaiming your attention instantly reclaims your energy.
So I'm leaving you with this final, brutal binary choice directly to you. On the left, you can just continue fracturing your mind, giving in to the principle of least resistance, and remain utterly exhausted every single day while achieving very, very little. Or, on the right, you can treat your attention with the respect of a master craftsman. You can guard it fiercely using the monk block protocol, and you can become completely unstoppable in whatever field you choose to pursue.
Ultimately, the decision is entirely yours. Are you going to reclaim your energy? Look, if this explainer helped shift your perspective today, hit that subscribe button so you never miss one of our structured deep dives. And before you close this window, I have a real challenge for you. Go down to the comments below and tell us honestly, how many hours of screen time did you average this week? Open up your settings, look it up on your phone right now, face the actual data, and drop the embarrassing number in the comments. Then, go physically put that phone in another room and get to work. I'll see you in the next explainer.